Welcome to Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. Trump moves ahead with wall, puts stamp on U.S. immigration security policy. Trump preparing executive orders to reduce U.S. role in UN, NY Times. Eastern Mosul fully liberated from Islamic State, Iraqi Prime Minister. Singapore President hails Bangladesh economic progress. Sheikh Hasina talks tough against arms brandishing on campuses. And India versus England, Ewan Morgan, Joe Root and bowlers seal T20 win in Kanpur. Those were the headlines, now the detail. President Donald Trump ordered construction of a U.S.-Mexican border wall and punishment for cities shielding illegal immigrants while mulling restoring a CIA secret detention program as he launched broad but divisive plans to reshape U.S. immigration and national security policy. A draft executive order seen by Reuters that Trump is expected to sign in the coming days would block the entry of refugees from war-torn Syria and suspend the entry of any immigrants from Muslim-majority Middle Eastern and African countries Syria, Sudan, Somalia, Iraq, Iran, Libya and Yemen while permanent rules are studied. Less than a week into his presidency, Trump has moved aggressively to put his stamp on a range of policies including steps to guard the healthcare system devised by the predecessors and make clear that as president he is not turning toward more moderate positions than he took as a candidate. President Donald Trump may order a review that could lead to bringing back a CIA program for holding terrorism suspects in secret overseas black site prisons where interrogation techniques often commended as torture were used, two U.S. officials said. The black sites were used to detain suspects captured in President George W. Bush's war on terrorism after the September 11, 2001 attacks and were formally closed by former President Barack Obama. And in return to the Bush administration's initial anti-terrorism tactics, including secret prisons and interrogation methods considered torture under international law, would likely alienated key U.S. allies in the fight against militant groups like Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. The Trump administration is preparing executive orders that would clear the way to drastically reduce the U.S. role in the United Nations and other international organizations, the New York Times reported recently. The executive orders would also begin a process to review and potentially abrogate certain forms of multilateral treaties, the Times reported, citing unnamed officials. A red letter day on national security is in the cards for U.S. President Donald Trump, who is expected to sign executive orders on construction of a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border and suspension of visas for citizens of Syria and 6 other countries. Trump, who announced on Twitter that a big day was planned on national security on Wednesday, is set to ban the entry of refugees into the U.S. for at least 4 months, AP reported, citing a representative of a public policy organization that monitors refugee issues. There is likely to be an exception for Christians fleeing Muslim-majority nations. Another order will block visas from being issued to individuals from Syria, Iraq, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen, according to Reuters, citing presidential aides and experts speaking on condition of anonymity. On the campaign trail, Trump proposed a temporary ban on Muslims entering the U.S., arguing that the measure would help shield Americans from jihadist attacks. Iraq's Prime Minister declared Eastern Mosul fully liberated from Islamic State group militants after a day of fierce fighting and more than 3 months after a massive U.S.-backed operation to retake the city began. Iraqi forces drove Islamic State militants from one of their last bastions in the eastern half of the city, while 8 groups expressed concern for the estimated 750,000 people still in the militant-held West. In his weekly news conference, Haider al-Abadi hailed the unmatched heroism of all security forces factions and public support for the operation. Daesh has quickly collapsed and no more expected such collapse. Al-Abadi said, using the Rabia acronym of IS, the heroism of our security forces was behind Daesh's defeat. Viewers, now Millennium News on Bangladesh topic. Take care. Appreciating Bangladesh economic progress, President of Singapore Dr. Tony Tan Keng Yang on Thursday said more Singapore companies would be interested in investing in Bangladesh in near future. Dr. Yam said this when Bangladesh High Commissioner to Singapore Mohammad Mustafizur Rahman presented his credentials to the President at his official residence. During the meeting following the presentation of credentials, the High Commissioner conveyed warm greetings of President Abdul Hamid and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to the President of Singapore. Awami League President Sheikh Hasina, also the Prime Minister, said she does not want to hear the rattles of arms anymore on campuses as the government has given the utmost importance to maintaining congenial atmosphere in educational institutions. I'll tell Chhatra League we don't want to see the rattles of weapons in any educational institution. We don't want to see such incidents anymore. This is how there had been enormous losses, she said. Sheikh Hasina was speaking at a views exchange meeting with leaders of Bangladesh Chhatra League who came from across the country who met her at her official residence Ganabhavan. Without naming him, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina told Parliament that former Grameen Bank Managing Director Dr. Mohammad Yunus had lobbied World Bank with the help of Hillary Clinton to stop the funding for the Padma Bridge project and conducted a worldwide propaganda against her after losing the post following a court verdict. That gentleman lost both the cases in court and due to the law, he lost the post of MD. Grameen Bank will run as per the law as it was formed through the law, she said. The leader of the House said this replying to a supplementary question from Jatiya Party MP AKM Maidul Islam during her scheduled question-answer session in Parliament. The Prime Minister said although renowned lawyer Dr. Kamal Hussain and his daughter argued for the former Grameen Bank MD, he had to lose both the cases to his anger. And this wrath fell on the Padma Bridge project, she said. Now, Millennium Business News. U.S. healthcare giant Johnson & Johnson will buy Swiss biotech company Actelion in a $30 billion all-cash deal that includes spinning off Actelion's research and development pipeline, the company said. The acquisition gives J&J access to the Swiss group's lineup of high-price, high-margin medicines for rare diseases, helping it diversify its drug portfolio as its biggest product. Remicade for arthritis faces cheaper competition. The offer to pay $280 per share following weeks of exclusive talks was unanimously approved by the board of directors of both companies. The deal represents a 23% premium to Actelion's closing price of 227.4 Swiss francs and is more than 80% above the November 23 closing price before initial reports emerged that Europe's biggest biotech company had attracted takeover interest. January 26, European pay TV group Sky plans to introduce a loyalty scheme to stem a rise in customer defections that, together with a jump in the cost of soccer broadcasting rights, cast a shadow over first-half results. The company, which has accepted a buyout offer from Rupert Murdoch's 21st Century Fox, reported a 9% drop in first-half operating profit and said that the customer churn rate is its biggest market. Britain rose to 11.6% from 10 to 2% a year earlier. Chief Executive Jeremy Darroch said the Sky needs to do a better job across the board to hold on to customers, adding the British customers who had taken its services for a number of years would be offered package upgrades and other benefits, replicating a loyalty program it has in Italy. The British economy will pay higher costs this year and next for the uncertainty created by its vote to leave the European Union, the EU Economics Commissioner said recently, though he recognized Britain had so far fared well since the referendum. Britain's gross domestic product rose at a quarterly rate of 0.6% between October and December, the country's Office for National Statistics said earlier on Thursday, maintaining the above-average pace seen in the first 3 months after Jane's Brexit referendum. The uncertainty will have a more tangible effect on the British economy in 2017 and 2018, Pierre Moscovici told a conference in Brussels, after acknowledging that Britain had performed better than expected in the immediate aftermath of the Brexit vote. President of Bangladesh-Malaysia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Muhammad Alamgir Jalil, on Tuesday said at least 20 Malaysian companies are going to invest in Bangladesh. The interest was expressed during the Bangladesh Trade and Investment Summit 2016 held in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia in December last, he said. Meanwhile, 2 MOUs were signed for the joint venture investment on real estate and solar energy, where Bangladesh's export to Malaysia is expected to increase by 10-15%, said Jalil. A BMCCI delegation led by Jalil submitted an MOU to Planning Minister AKM Mustafa Kamal during a courtesy call at his office in Sher-Bangla Nagar in the city. Viewers, now Millennium Environment, Science and Technology News. The spacecraft that carried Team Peak to and from the International Space Station last year has gone on display at London's Science Museum. The museum says the Russian capsule is an important part of UK space history and hopes it will inspire the public. The Soyuz TMA-19M has been refurbished, but it's still slightly signed from re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere. Business Secretary Greg Clark has confirmed that Major Peak will make a second mission to the space station. The timing will be decided by the European Space Agency. Scientists are seeking to define a new baseline from which to measure global temperatures, a time when fossil fuel burning and yet to change the climate. At the moment, researchers tend to use the period 1850 to 1900, and these will often be described as pre-industrial. But the reality is that these date range came after industry really got going, and the influence of humans on the climate was already in play, judging from the ice cores that retain a record of carbon dioxide emissions. These show a perceptible uptick by 1850 to 1900, likewise for other greenhouse gases such as methane. US software firm Microsoft Corporation will continue to invest over $1 billion annually on cybersecurity research and development in the coming years, a senior executive said. This amount does not include acquisitions Microsoft may make in the sector, Bharat Shah, Microsoft Vice President of Security, told Reuters on the sidelines of the firm's Blue Hat Cybersecurity Conference in Tel Aviv. As more and more people use cloud, that spending has to go up, Shah said. While the number of attempted cyber attacks was 20,000 a week 2 or 3 years ago, that figure had now risen to 600,000 to 700,000 according to Microsoft data. Viewers, now Millennium Sports News. An impressive England bowling display laid the foundation for a comfortable 7-wicket victory over India in the first 20 international. Expertly varying pace and length, England restricted India to 147-7 of spinner Moeen Ali's 221, the standout. Sam Billings took 20 from the second over of England's reply. with Ian Morgan and Joe Root completing the chase in 18.1 overs. The second of the three T20 matches is in Nagpur on Sunday. England will look to wrap up the series after putting in their best performance of a tour that saw them heavily beaten in the tests and squeezed out in the one-day internationals. Roger Federer beat fellow Swiss Stan Wawrinka 7-5, 6-3, 1-6, 4-6, 6-3 to reach the Australian Open final and stay on course for an 18th Grand Slam title. The 35-year-old will face Rafael Nadal if the Spaniard beats Grigor Dimitrov in Friday's semi-final. The Swiss, returning from a 6-month layoff to rest his left knee, last won a major at Wimbledon in 2012. He is the oldest man to reach a Grand Slam final since Ken Rosewall did so at the 1974 US Open at the age of 39. Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger says he will accept a Football Association misconduct charge for his behavior during the 2-1 league win over Burnley. Wenger, 67, was charged with verbally abusing and pushing fourth official Anthony Taylor after being sent off in the closing stages of the game. He had been dismissed for reacting angrily to a 93rd minute penalty given to Burnley, who trailed 1-0. Wenger, who later apologized, has been called to an FA hearing. Before ending, the headlines are once again. Trump moves ahead with wall, puts stamp on U.S. immigration security policy. Trump preparing executive orders to reduce U.S. role in UN, NY Times. Eastern Mosul fully liberated from Islamic State, Iraqi Prime Minister. Singapore President hails Bangladesh economic progress. Sheikh Hasina talks tough against arms brandishing on campuses. And India versus England, Ian Morgan, Joe Root and bowler seal T20 win in Kanpur. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please visit to our social website facebook.com/MillenniumTVUSA and youtube.com/MillenniumTVUSA. Besides, to get the most updated news, please log into our website www.millenniumtv.org and www.millenniumtvusa.com. Stay with Millennium. Allah Hafiz.